All right, this is John Krysinsky here at Pittsburgh Soccer Now. I am with Robbie Mertz, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, now winners of two straight matches, Robbie. It's nice. I think the Pittsburgh soccer fans are kind of breathing a bit of a sigh of relief. I'm sure the team is feeling the same way.
Yeah, for sure. It's been definitely an interesting couple months. Tough month of June, but we were looking forward to getting back home in July for a 4 game stretch, and I think that's been re-energizing for us, and the performances I think have reflected that. So it's been a good couple games here.
Absolutely. And the last three matches, Robbie, you've been wearing the captain's armband. Obviously, Danny Griffin has been out with a
Yeah,
leg injury. Canardo is playing a little bit less in terms of, he's coming off the bench a lot. There's a little bit of, I'm sure, management and fitness things going on too, as far as load management, roster wise. And you guys have shown that, at least in terms of the midfield, there's a lot of depth there. Um, just talk about the midfield, first of all, just in terms of how your team has progressed with, Jackson, Walty, and Bradley Sample, and even Adian. I mean, you've got some pretty good depth there.
yeah. I think those guys have really stepped up to the plate here, especially in Danny's absence. He got hurt in the Vegas game, and so it hasn't been. I mean, he came off the bench last game, so it's good. It'll be good to kind of get him back into the fold here. But yeah, Brad and Jackson, they've really just kind of kept their heads down and worked at it all year. Jackson was a guy who was playing a lot early in the year, and some of the results didn't go our way, and through no fault of his own, but just we needed to start changing things up a little bit, and he was out for a little while, but he kept at it, and I think these last couple games have been his strongest performances of the year, and he's been a huge part of these last couple wins. So to have Brad and Jackson forming a little bit of a partnership in there is, I think, huge, because it could potentially give us, more options for what the midfield could look like tactically. And we're already a team that, can change game to game, and kind of show different things in the midfield from a structure standpoint. And to have that kind of working out well right now, you never know. That could be, I think, really helpful for us going into the future. And no, I'm not alluding to anything that I already know, but that's just my own opinion.
Ga- Robbie, game to game, how about, minute to minute? I mean, Bob is
Yeah,
always looking to change things around on the fly.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
Uh, yeah. So, I mean, look, I wanted to bring this up because, about, a few weeks ago, it seemed like was, a devastating loss to Monterey Bay. And I remember why I was, you were, at the forefront, really pushing and trying to create things and trying to do a lot in that match. In fact, you hurt your head and at one
yeah,
point you had to come off. It probably was frustrating not being able to play the full 90 in that one. And then, of course, in stoppage time, it was a very unfortunate goal. You guys still couldn't get that goal. It was like more than 6 games, so that without a goal and the streak and but you had a quote that night after that was I thought really stood out. You said something along the lines of, um, there are games there. It's there to be won for us, and we know that. And was that just kind of the prevailing attitude throughout the course of those couple weeks where you guys knew you could break through, but you didn't quite get there?
yeah. I think so. I mean, June was a really tough month for us. Not only were we on the road the pretty much the entire time, but just the way the games went, the results, the lack of goals, which you need some of that goal scoring on the road, of course, to win games, but also just to kind of keep you going because you're not you're not taking energy from the crowd, of course, on those away matches. So the goals are kind of what keep you going, and it was a tough month, and we had games where it was really really frustrating, and I think we were just doing our best to get through it and keep putting one foot in front of the next. That being said, I think like the performances were there at times, and I think Monterey was a great example. I wouldn't say it was like rock bottom for us this year, especially in terms of performance, but uh, it was really a difficult one to swallow just because we felt the game we were the better team for literally 90 minutes, and then in the 92nd was when they managed to grab the win from us. So that was really tough. But I'll be honest, I didn't think that the performance like varied all that much from Monterey to Oakland, as crazy as it sounds. I think we just managed to somehow find something in the attacking third where we were making better decisions and better execution, and I think that was the difference in that game. But overall performance and energy and like our approach to the game, it really wasn't much different. Where I would say the exception was, I think Hartford, we really came out in the first 25 minutes and put the pedal to the metal. And after that, it was a pretty even game, but the game was kind of already won there. So yeah, I mean, I think we definitely have felt like we're closer than people maybe realize. I think we've felt that way for a long time. I think there are statistics to support that as well. I think that we're a better team than our record indicates, and like than some of the results indicate. So maybe not everyone has seen that, but hopefully the last couple of results, we picked up some momentum that can continue here.
Yeah, and there's been some players who I think have had really good seasons, but finally got reaped the rewards, if you will, the past few weeks. Junior obviously is one, and he, in terms of creating issues in the box for defenders and drawing fouls. I mean, this guy is he's just been, it's been nonstop all year. It hasn't been just recently. And just being effective. I mean, you talk about midfield depth. He's played in the middle of the field for most of his career, and now he's out there doing a lot of damage out wide. So it's nice to have that versatility of a player like that as well. But yeah, I mean, Langston comes through with a dynamic goal. We know he's capable of doing good things. So just talk about how this whole team has started to, maybe it's starting to come together a little bit more now, especially as a unit, getting forward and getting into that final third.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say I don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves, because I think that if you look back, I believe it was April. We had a really rough start to the year, and then got a couple draws, a good one at home against Tampa, and then won 3 games in a row. And I think people are like, okay, like Pittsburgh's back, like let's everybody calm down. Like we were, back to our normal selves, which is like a top 3 team in the East. And we went 7 unbeaten, and then we went 10 winless. So like, I don't want to say that these 2 performances are gonna somehow project out into the rest of the season. And like, we've got to approach it one game at a time and put one foot forward, because these are all really tough games. Like there's a lot of very good teams. I think even Hartford this past weekend, as much as it might have seemed lopsided in the first half, like they gave us a huge challenge on Saturday, and it was not an easy win by any means. So that's just I think the first part. But yeah, to answer your question, there's a lot of guys who have really come on strong, and I think that is maybe something that we can hold on to and say, okay, like we're getting individuals who are finding a stride here, finding like their top form, and that's something that we can look at and say, okay, that player is going to feel confidence, and I think it's more likely that they'll continue those good performances as they go, because we've created a little bit of a foundation here where people can draw from that, and be confident going forward in what they can do on the field and our team's ability to win games.
Yeah, and speaking, you brought up the challenge. I mean, there's no easy matches in a 12-team Eastern Conference. You play all teams in the entire USL Championship. It just never seems like there's going to be any easy matches, really at any point. And I think that's seems like one of the trademarks of where this league has gotten itself. And it's just no nights are off. And I think again this Saturday, Loudoun United, that's a team that is looking a lot better than they have in the past as well. Excellent coach, some familiar faces, people we know on the other side over there. But just your thoughts on this matchup, and you'll get to see them 2 more times, and they're in front of you by 5.
Yep. so in that sense, it's huge with where both teams are on the table. We saw them in preseason, really tough match in preseason. I think they play a good style, and they've also where they've made strides in the last few years is that they've put the players in to give them a little bit more of that consistency. But Loudoun has always been a tough matchup for us, even in the days where they were sitting in the basement of the standings. It was never an easy game against Loudoun. I'm sure Bob would tell you the same thing. And so now you add in like a little bit of that experience and the consistency that they've shown this year, and it becomes an even tougher game. So I think we're aware of that. And it is obviously there's going to be a lot at stake here this weekend. So we got to approach it with the same sense of urgency that we did last weekend. I think that showed in the first half there. And, hopefully we'll come out on top.
Yeah, and in terms of your role with the team, obviously we're hoping to see Danny get back on the field. I know everyone would like to see that, but in terms of your role this season, statistically, I think sometimes things go under the radar when a lot of us when we watch you, we watch Danny, even Kenny, even though he has the assists record in the league and everything. I think there's a lot of times, in terms of doing all the little things right. What's your approach in terms of what you need to do to help? I mean, again, 8 goals were scored by 7 different players in those last 2 games. It seems like it's a real team effort. But I know you want to be a catalyst in terms of the attack and create chances and things of that nature, and you're doing that. I mean, you could see that when you look at the stats, but the deeper stats. But what's your thought process and approach to each game?
Yeah, I mean, so I would say I would encourage, anyone who's trying to judge my own performance, and this includes myself, like watch the game, because I think a lot of times statistics don't tell the whole story. I think like I'll be honest, it doesn't sit super well with me, like where I stand statistically this year and last year as well. It's been honestly a tough couple of seasons for me in terms of goals and assist production. And that's something that maybe has shifted a little bit from the beginning of my career. But I think if you look back to those years and where the league has come, it's just come such a long way. Every game is, I think, more consistently difficult than maybe it was even 5 years ago. And that affects everyone individually as well as the teams. So like, it's not that I'm not aware of it, but at the same time, the focus always has to be on the team winning games. And I think I've noticed that when that is the main focus, doing the job, doing the role for the team, then the individual performance is always better that way. And so that's kind of been something that I've been trying to remind myself if it needs reminding. And certainly the last few games with Danny being out and Canardo coming off the bench, which we haven't seen those 2 things occurring simultaneously in a few years. I needed to step up and to maybe be in a little bit more of a leadership role, I guess, than I already am. And so, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that answered your question, but I think that I know that I have an attacking responsibility on this team. And so I need to be involved, but at the end of the day, if the team is scoring goals as we have the last 2 games, it doesn't matter if I'm on the score sheet or not. And I think everybody can be happy about these last 2 games. And if there's more of that to come, then we'll all be all right.
And kind of transitioning to, the approach, you had the 4-match homestand, you struggle a little bit in that first, the first game to score, but really was solid defensively for the most part. And then the last 2, but the fan support, despite everything that's gone on this year in terms of record, and it's just been unbelievable to see what happened last year carry over into this year and into this season, and to know that regardless of, if you guys are having a difficult stretch, that the fans are still coming out and they're really getting behind you. And I there was some talk on social media, or there was one article posted by our site, that just questioned things in terms of, the fans are going to come out because of maybe other reasons, not just, more the atmosphere and that type
For
of thing.
sure.
But my point is that a lot of the diehard fans kind of spoke out and said, no, we are going to be there through thick and thin. And I'm extending my point, but I even read Mark Madden wrote a column today too. It talked about Liverpool. And it's like, you know what? The true fans were always there through thick and thin, and that's what it's all about. Um, I think we're starting to see that with the Riverhounds. I think we're really starting to see that, and I think that this year was a testament to that, at least to this point. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's not something that we're always like super aware of, and there's so many different dynamics around the state for why people are coming or not coming to games. So it's really tough to speculate sometimes. Like I'm not certain of this. I don't think Oakland was like as well attended coming off the Monterey game, but like who knows why that's the case. But then we turn around the next week and we're selling out. It's a whiteout, and like that was one of the best. Honestly, last weekend was one of the best regular season atmospheres I've ever played in at Highmark. Like it was fantastic, and just the weather being perfect as well. It was just like one of those nights that you'll remember for a long time. So, I think we're really blessed to have the support of the community now, the Steel Army, the number of like families that come out to the games, bring their kids. I think like that's just the environment that's been created there, and it's something that like anyone can come and enjoy in Pittsburgh, and hopefully we continue to build that momentum. I know there's plans to add on to the stadium, and so there's more seats to fill, and you have to continue to put out a good product, and hope that more and more people are going to sort of get on the bandwagon and want to show up and support us on Saturday nights. But it really has been helpful this year, and I think specifically in this stretch where we needed to bounce back, if people had been frustrated by what was going on in June and not shown up, that you don't know, it might not have gone the same way that it's gone the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, even looking at the bigger picture, we're sitting here, it's a Wednesday night, 2 nights from now, Acrisure Stadium, Heinz Field. Before that, we'll be seeing international soccer match. And then, of course, the Mertz imprints are all over Pittsburgh soccer. As Landy had such an outstanding college career and finished that up at Pitt. And the Pitt women's team did tremendous things. And of course, your brother is still playing in Steel City FC. I mean, kudos to them, because they've really taken that club to another level and have had massive success in PSL. I would just imagine what was going on in the Mertz household on Saturday night. I mean, obviously, Steel City playing for a regional final. You're playing in a whiteout on national TV. And it's just a lot going on. And Landy's out, playing with the Courage, and there's a lot going on there for your family to keep up with.
For sure, I think for my parents in particular, it's been like a huge blessing, because here we are, and there's all these years later, I guess, after our youth careers, and they're still like able to go travel, watch our soccer games, and that's been great for them because they're empty nesters now. But I know there's times where they're setting up streams for all three of our games, and that's awesome. We do have an older sister as well, so there is a fourth Mertz sibling.
Wow.
I don't know. She wasn't as much of a soccer player, but she's certainly supportive as well. So yeah, it's been great. Landy's doing really well down in North Carolina, really enjoys it. And for Ryan to be continuing, his career here with Steel City, and I agree. I think what they've done there has been awesome. The club that they've created, the environment, it's really cool. I've gone up for a few games to Founders there, and it's awesome. So yeah, we've been really, really fortunate.
Is there any talk about, hey, what scrimmage you guys, or of course the Open Cup now, they're back in it. It looks like they'll I don't think it's definitive yet, but I mean, you never know with US soccer, but it just seemed weird how the draw ended up last year. Well, obviously the Riverhounds, your success the previous year in the Open Cup was probably the main reason why you weren't drawn into a regional earlier round match, but maybe that happens next year.
No, my brother and I were definitely laughing because it was out there to be had, I guess. Like it was something that could have happened, and that would have been really special. And they honestly they deserve better in their Open Cup game too. I was there at Pitt that night, and they were probably the better team against Michigan Stars, so they could have advanced. But yeah, that would have been special. But you never know, maybe next year. So.
Yeah, so this is to be continued. I have some thoughts, and I even with my podcast over the winter, maybe in the off season. But I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to keep this conversation going for sure.
Okay.
Between you and your family members, maybe I have to bring you guys together for some kind of a special podcast or something. But
Yeah, I don't really know how it all got to this point. But certainly a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice from my parents to give us the opportunities um, that we wanted to have. And I mean, that's the really special part. It's not necessarily the talent, but the work ethic and parents that are so supportive of what their kids want to do. And that's why we're, I guess, in the position we're in. So.
absolutely. It's great to, again, see all of you having the success you have. But, just kind of switching gears real quick before I let you go. Liverpool, Real Betis, the Hounds Academy has been involved a little bit. I saw James Mira today down at the field with the Liverpool people doing some clinics. And, tomorrow there'll be something at Montour. What does it mean for the city to have something like this, and to, I'm sure you become a fan just like all of us when you get to see these big name players come here and big name teams come play in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think Friday's it's gonna be interesting just to see like how it goes down in Hines and how many people come out. I hope it's very well attended and something that continues to spur on the growth of soccer in Pittsburgh, especially as we kind of approach. We just came off Copa America and approach the World Cup in 2026. I think everyone's looking towards that as like the moment for soccer in the United States to see like exactly how far we've come. And so these are just continued steps along that road, I think. And in a place like Pittsburgh that hasn't always been certainly not a soccer haven, if you will, that's a really important thing to have these top-notch clubs and teams and players come in for people to watch and to rally around it. And then I think you would feel that impact at our level, of course. People who go see Liverpool play on Friday night might be more likely to come out and watch the Riverhounds and support us. So I think it all trickles down, and hopefully it goes really well and it's a good environment and everything.
For sure. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to Saturday night. Riverhounds take on Loudoun United. It would be great to see both matches and another great atmosphere at Highmark Stadium again on Saturday night. So Robbie, again, thanks for your time today and joining me. I'm sure we'll catch up. There's a lot of season left, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. Lots of time, but also a sense of urgency. So got to keep it rolling.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, Robbie, have a good night. Thanks again for joining me. I appreciate your time.
You too, John. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.